K buildings began in the mid-70s. Dan Clousing, the owner of Elgin Service Center, started the K building line in 75, 76 in that area. It was inspired actually from a Cutler building and back in the early days. One of the biggest features of the K building is the fact that everything is built on a concrete foundation. Dave, concrete piers are the most popular foundation that we have just because of the sheer cost, but we also do foundation walls. That's huge, just getting the posts out of the ground. But when you start looking at the benefits of the steel main frames, the wide open clear spans that you have, and then the economy of the secondary wood framing, it makes for a very affordable, cost-effective and efficient building. Now also with those steel frames, we have an opportunity to get some really incredibly large openings in our sidewalls. We can get on our eave side openings up to 43 feet in width, and then our end walls, we could even leave our end walls completely open if that is what a customer would desire. So you've got a really flexible building. A lot of times people have called here and said they have a K building, and we ask them if the steel red frames, if that's what they're looking at, and they'll say yeah, that's what we've got. And we'll go out there, and it may or may not necessarily be a K building. The hybrid building, the idea of that's been around for some time, and there's been a number of different manufacturers over the years that have tried their version of that. And so when you look at a building and you see the steel red iron main frames, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a K building that you're looking at. What we do to make sure that our customers know that it's a K building is we put a ID tag on the end wall of every K building that we have. And the information on this ID tag is specific to our customer, the date of manufacture, and then also a special ID number, along with contact information for K buildings here. So if the customer would ever want to get back with K buildings for anything, he wants to repurpose his building, he wants to do anything with his building, he can call us with that ID number, and we'll be able to pull up the specs of his building and know exactly what went into it, from every detail of manufacturing, from a structural standpoint, covering colors, any options, doors, windows, anything that went into that building we would have on file. So that's the best way to figure out whether you have a K building or not, is to look for that ID tag that's riveted to the end wall C-section. When you look at the steel main frames and the wood secondary framing, that in itself separates us from the post frame guys, which are all wood, or the all steel rigid frame people. And what's nice about that is the price point. When you start looking at the cost typically of buildings, post frame is going to be your least expensive typically. Then we have the hybrid buildings, and then we have the all steel guys. So when you start looking at what you can do with that hybrid building, you can get bigger spans than what you can do with a post frame building, yet you don't have the cost associated with the big rigid frame buildings. So it really is the best of all worlds. The dealer network for K buildings comprises about 7 states of the Midwest. We also have dealers that work with our Suka grain lines also, and those dealers, those are also Elgin Service Center locations, and there's 5 of those in Ohio. They're a little unique because not only do they sell K buildings, but they also do the Suka product lines. The other K building dealers that you see are just K building dealers, and you can find all the lists of our dealers and their locations on our website, Dave, at www.kbuildings.com. There's a couple of things that happen right away. Depending upon the nature of the building. If it's a commercial building, then it gets sent out to engineers for the stamped set of drawings and to satisfy whatever state recommendations or local jurisdictions we need to satisfy. If it's an agricultural type building, well, then we'll do in-house drawings ourselves and send, shortly after receiving the order actually, we will send the foundation plans out to the contractor so he can go ahead and get the site work started, getting the piers in or the foundation walls in, Dave, if that's what's going on. We then in turn take the building order and schedule it for fabrication. It's really neat to see how a building gets started here, because all of the raw components for a cave building come in 48-foot lengths of structural steel, and those get brought in basically little rail cars into our fabrication shop, where our fabricators then will fabricate all the red iron that we have, the end walls, the main frames. It is all fabricated here at Elgin Service Center, and typically our lead time is 5 to 6 weeks from the time that we receive an order until it's ready to be delivered to the job site. And what's nice there is, again, we have already sent out a lot of the foundation information, so there's site work that's going on almost immediately. And so by the time the fabricated building makes it to the job site, they're ready to go up with it at that point. So it, again, not only is the building efficient in what it is, but also the erecting process is very efficient with the cave building.